every other day, it is the same exact story with this Mets team. First and foremost, I apologize if we are lagging at all to begin the live stream, everybody. I promise the lagging will go away around 4 to 5 minutes in the show. Be patient. Thank you so much to that, all of our live and replay viewers. This is the final series of the regular season for a New York Mets team that just secured their series victory in Chicago against the Cubs. All the Mets need to do is beat the Miami Marlins, regardless of Sandy, Cabrera, and Yuri on the bump. We know that this Mets team, if they just win out, they're going to make postseason play. But yet again, for another day, another dollar, another day where the Mets exemplify exactly why they do not deserve to be in postseason play. Brandon Sproat gives you 4 scoreless, no-hit innings. Then he starts to get rocked in the 5th inning. Then Carlos Mendoza says, let's go ahead and pull him on 58 effing pitches because that's going to make sense. I know he was getting rocked. I also don't care. The Mets have had no semblance of consistency in their rotation this year outside of Noah McLean in this entire second half, with the exception of Brandon Sproat. I get it. He was getting barreled hard, and it was getting pretty often there. Regardless, why not at least let him face another batter or two before you bring in Gregory Soto, who absolutely, pardon my French, kiddos, shits the bed. Defensively, Brett Baty exits the ball game with what is likely an oblique injury, meaning that barring changes, Brett Baty's year might be done, which is going to make me even crash out more than what I currently am. But maybe it doesn't matter, considering the Mets may not even find themselves in postseason play 48 hours from now. Ronnie Mauricio, who has now played a lick of baseball this entire past month, is thrown in this ball game at third base. And what does Ronnie Mauricio do? Yes, you guessed it. Absolutely nothing that he's supposed to do. Doesn't back up, doesn't defend third base, allows Ramirez to steal third base after he steals second there in the 5th inning. A 6-run blunder, an implosion by this Mets team facing this Miami Marlins squad. A Marlins team that's no longer in postseason play as of yesterday, playing with house money, playing to play spoiler against this Mets team. A Mets lineup that, when you look at the offense, goes 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position today. So miss me with the nonsense that, oh, it was this guy's fault, it was this guy's fault. No, everybody, it was this offense's fault for rolling over and dying after an early sense of life in this ball game. The Mets were up 2-0 on Sandy in the first inning or so in this ball game, and they didn't score an effing run after that. Pete Alonso showing exactly why he is not a Gold Glove first baseman rather. What do we see with Alonso? Booting a baseball that he bobbles, which leads to a run coming in. Another ball that he cannot handle, all in the 5th inning. Everything that could have went wrong for this Mets team went wrong there in that 5th inning. And that's exactly why we sit here talking today, getting prepared for the Mets to be tied with the Reds, but will be officially out of postseason contention as of now. Not officially out, like they can't come back into this, because they still can. But guys, on paper, this was the best matchup the Mets had this entire series pitching-wise. Even with Sandy being the guy you're facing, Brandon Sproat hasn't pitched beyond 70 or so pitches in each of his past 3 starts. In the first start, he goes 6 shutting, and what does Carlos Mendoza say? Oh, his velocity is down. That's what justified the decision, even though his velo was only dropping by north of 2 miles per hour, and it wasn't anything egregious. This second start, he's pulled after 4 innings of 4 earned run baseball, went outside of his own throwing error to begin that inning that caused the blunder there. What do we see? Jose Siri not making any competent plays with his defense in the outfield. That is why Brandon Sproat ultimately gave up those 4 earned runs, and that is why he was pulled from the ball game when he easily could have gave the Mets at least 5 innings of work there against the Washington Nationals. Today, Brandon Sproat does not allow a single effing hit until we get to the 5th inning. Yet Carlos Mendoza really says to himself, let's pull him on 58 pitches. I know he was getting barreled. I know the Mets had the lead and lost the lead, but I'm sorry. Brandon Sproat is what kept you in this ball game. How do you not at minimum consider him a little bit longer when your entire bullpen has been as taxed as it's been the past calendar week? There was little to justify it then. There's little to justify it now. And in our Mets post-game show tonight, presented by SeatGeek and Mantis Sleep for the best sleep masks in the game, I'm here to tell you that the Mets are looking absolutely cooked. They're not officially out of it yet. They're not down and dead, but by God, you got to poke that body. You got to check the pulse to make sure it's still alive, because Brett Baty going down has my obliques hurting right now just yelling about Brett Baty, the same way that I'm about to crash out continued on the reality that, yes, this Mets team has has not been good the entire second half. No one should be surprised by this. The Mets were around 15 games below 500 since June 13th, entering this matchup against the Marlins. They have not played good baseball for a great stretch of time now. But even with the Mets not playing great baseball, they've still been right in the heart of it, right in the thick of it when it comes to them trying to stay afloat here in postseason play. And because of that reason, because of the fact that the Mets have stayed alive this entire time, is why we are all pulled in every other day. Like Al Pacino famously says, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Jonah with the $2 donation says, a collapse is a collapse. This team has no heart. This is not a collapse. This has been what has been a downfall for over 80 effing games. This isn't a shock. I'm just pissed off that we're here. I gotta be honest with you. KC with the $10 donation says, I'm not surprised we're mad by the loss. They played the same way they played the last 20 games. Sloppy and inattentive. What I need is an explanation for why Mullins started over Taylor. Great effing question, because you and I both were questioning and wondering and pondering the same exact thing. How could you not start Tyrone Taylor today when he had himself a clutch 2-run double yesterday? Not a game-saving, but a run-saving throw in his first game back 48 hours ago. Yet even though Tyrone Taylor's heating up, let's go ahead with Cedric Mullins, who has reverse splits this year and can't hit a right-handed pitcher if it smacked him across the face. But again, Carlos Mendoza doesn't like to look at the numbers apparently, only when it fits his narrative. Not today, when the Mets obviously needed a lineup with having all their best players out there. Francisco Alvarez was back in the lineup today at DH with Torrenta catcher. That's how you know the Mets are acting in more desperation. And even with that, it still was not enough. The offense got nothing going after that first inning. Let's get this camera focused and then let's break down this shit show you call a ball game. My God! Tell me how you're feeling, everybody, as you're chiming in live at a replay. Hit that like and subscribe on your way in. I know this is an unorthodox post-game show, but it's going to be unorthodox this time of year when the Mets have your guy Wardy crashing out. Here's a diehard Mets fan because this team continues to take years off my life. Give me 1 second, everybody. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Casey, with the donation. I appreciate that. Mike says with the $2, Mendoza lost them this game. I'm sorry he's cooked. Many did very little to help this Mets team yet again. And I can't say I'm surprised by this. We have seen a continuation of Carlos Mendoza's incompetence for what has felt like a large portion of the season. Is he at wholehearted blame today? No, most certainly not. It goes well beyond just Carlos Mendoza as to why the Mets lost this ball game today. But for Mendy to pull Brandon Sproat on just 58 effing pitches, for Gregory Soto be batting practice, for Ronnie Mauricio, who you decide to bring in at third base, not get the job done at all, can't even handle that one little role that you assigned him for. This was the risk that you took by allowing Ronnie to stay on this roster all this time. This is exactly what we were fearful of with Ronnie getting pinch hitting opportunities and getting defensive opportunities later on in the season when he's barely playing, mind you. Oh my God, camera, can you wake up, please? Can you please focus? Let's get this thing going. Hold on, everybody. Literally, you need a focus camera. If you don't focus, if you do this one more time, I might chuck you off my damn computer right now because I'm losing my mind. Mr. Mike, thank you for the donation. Sean with the $5. I just took sleep pills. I'm about to drive. No. Sean, let's not do that. I'm not condoning that, Sean. Please make sure that you are safe and sound, Sean. Thank you for the donation, but do not be an idiot. I'm not going to read that shit again. Please be better than that, Sean. Who just says that in the chat? I just did so-and-so, now I'm going to go ahead and do so-and-so. No, Sean, be better than that. I love you, Sean. Let's be smart about this. Thank you so much for the donation nonetheless. Guys and gals, how we feeling? How pissed off are we? How concerned are we when it comes to the Mets and their playoff chances? Because right now, the Cincinnati Reds are currently winning 3-1, and the bottom is 7 in Milwaukee against the Brewers. Something the Mets can't do in the regular season if they have their life depending on it, is outside of postseason play, this Mets team rolls over and dies in Milwaukee every single chance that they get to play in said ball game. And a ball game that was a do-or-die series for this Mets team. That is still a do-or-die series for them against the Miami Marlins. The Mets roll over in more ways than one. Francisco Lindor continues to step up the way that he has on this road trip, the way that a true leader of this team has. But folks, it may be stepping up too little too late, because between Baty's injury, which has me shaking in my boots, along with everything else that went terribly wrong in Mets land today, it is hard to take away positives. It really is. This is one of those games that makes you absolutely crash out the way that I'm currently doing. Jonah with the $2 well says, your camera has more focus on the Mets. Ain't that the truth? Ronnie Mauricio's still sleeping at third base, so you're not wrong by that whatsoever. Michael Sayo with a $5. Thank you, Michael. He says, I unfortunately smell a repeat of the 2007 and 2008 season. Marlins beat the Mets and eliminated them from playing in the playoffs. I know. I see it too. We all see the writing on the wall. I'm freaking out about it naturally. And listen, I understand. Do the Mets deserve to be in playoffs? No, they most certainly do not. If I'm being completely honest with you, nothing about this Mets team, with the exception of Juan Soto and Nolan McLean in the second half, is really warranted why this team should even be in consideration for postseason play. But as we have said time and time again, the reason why we are now going through all the trials and tribulations and the heart palpitations is a simple reality that the Mets have stayed afloat because they're leaning on their 21 game above 500 cushion that they had in the first half. If it wasn't for that cushion, this Mets team would have been eliminated from postseason play well over a week ago. Not even a question about it. So no, have the Mets played consistent enough to warrant staying in this race? No. Have they played good enough? Has their rotation been deep enough? No. All these things can be true while saying at the same time, you want your favorite team to make playoffs, because you know when you do make playoffs, anything can happen, anything can change, and anything, luck of the draw, may go in your favor. That is why we are cautiously optimistic about this all. But again, what do we see? A Mets team that has now lost 4 of their past 5 effing games against the Marlins. The Marlins have been a far superior team than the Mets in the second half. That's why it took them all the way until yesterday to officially get eliminated from postseason play. You know how difficult that is for a team that basically had an entire roster of rookies entering the year get that close to postseason play? A Mets payroll, the largest in baseball, arguably. Juan Soto, north of $1 billion contract, and we're not even going to make postseason potential, you're telling me? What an absolute joke this continues to be. And as I've said time and time again, and I will continue to do that, barring a miraculous series win and a playoff berth and a huge wildcard victory in LA against these Dodgers, this Mets team is destined for inevitable significant change. The change will happen from not only coaching staff to a degree, especially when you look at the hitting coaches. The change will also most certainly happen when we look at player personnel. If you guys think the Mets are going to run it back with this core group next year, I got a bridge to tell you. There is not a chance in hell that happens. And today was yet again the latest prime example of what is so flawed about this team. They're 2 steps behind fundamentally on the defensive end. They have not at all been in unison offensively. When they are, they were doing it back in August, but who gives a rat's you know what about them doing it back in August when they still go 11-17 that month? Every single time the Mets give us a reason to say, okay, I'm starting to reel back in, cue Al Pacino, they then push our asses 10 steps back. This has been their demise. This has been their continuation. And this, my friends, is not at all surprising to anyone that's actually followed this ball club throughout the course of the season. So as you guys hit that like and subscribe button on your way in for this little crash out vent session, our latest post-game show presented by our amazing sponsors at SeatGeek and Man to Sleep, help us get to 35,000 subscribers, because listen, the Mets may have not been showing up for a good stretch this year, but I have been here, win, lose, or draw, breaking down this team every single day, and which is why we are giving away a brand new stinking new jersey of whatever player you currently want on the Mets roster, all just for subscribing to the platform. So help us get to 35K. Once we hit 35K, we will give away a new jersey approximately 1 week from that point, everybody. So get in on the action, join the largest Mets community here on YouTube for all things Mets if you haven't already, and thank you guys so much for exactly that. Shout out to all of our live members. Shout out to all of our new subscribers. Shout out to the guys who have been here. If you're a diehard Mets fan, this is one of your first, I'm going to chuck my camera now. I'm actually going to crash out. We're getting really, really bad on Hinge Wardy tonight. You see how bad this is? Why do you have to continue to go out of focus? I've been locked in on you for the majority of the time, yet this camera's giving me more of a heart palpitation than this effing game. Can we stop with this, please? My God. Come on. Focus. 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 There you go. My God, you useless piece of garbage. Need to upgrade this thing. Going up the list here. Let's go. Let's see. Jonah, thank you for that donation. It's hilarious about what you said in regards to the Mets, because you're not wrong. Jordy with a donation. We need a Hail Mary call at Benj Williams. No, we don't. No, we don't. We need to stop relying on top prospects to call up last minute to be our saving grace. We're already doing that enough, as Dylan Ross will be making his Major League debut as soon as tomorrow, the flame-throwing right-handed reliever for this bullpen. But here's the thing. How much of a needle mover is that really going to be at this point in the year? You have 2 games left in which you will now officially unofficially be behind the Reds because you do not have the tiebreaker on the Reds. As long as the Reds secure 6 outs between the 8th and the 9th inning in Milwaukee against those Brewers, who, mind you, have literally nothing to play for because they've already clinched being the top dog in the National League for the most part. They're getting their first round bye. The Brewers are smooth sailing. They look like a team that quite literally doesn't give a rat's you-know-what in any which way, shape, or form in how this series goes against the Reds. That's a massive problem because the Brewers, while they would love to play spoiler for the Reds, it isn't as much of a priority for them as it is for a Marlins team who literally pushed Sandy Alcantara to start today instead of in a playoff atmosphere a day ago where they still had their playoff hopes alive. Yes, you heard that correctly. The Miami Marlins are so effing petty that they literally stretched Sandy Alcantara to not pitch until today for the first time in 8 effing days because they rather Sandy, their ace, toe the rubber against the Mets versus a game a day prior that could have kept them potentially in postseason contention. That is insane. That just shows you where the Marlins' heads are at. So yes, if you think that they're trying to play spoiler, you are correct. They're doing everything in their power to do exactly that. And the Speed Demons, as their endless rookies in their lineup today, including that schmuck and Hernandez, who recorded his first effing triple of his career, which tied the ball game 2-2 in the 5th inning after we saw Sproat cruise through this ball game in the first 4 innings. Then it was the defensive blunders, as we mentioned. Pete Alonso's bobbling multiple baseballs, looking like a schmuck at first base. Ronnie Mauricio's got his head in his ass trying to figure out, oh, am I supposed to be at third base? Am I supposed to be at second base? I don't know, Ronnie. Maybe pay effing attention. I get it. Maybe you lose some focus because you're riding the bench the entire past 2 months. But listen, buddy, you're in the ball game. You have one effing job to do, and yet you cannot even do that. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh. My headache tomorrow is going to suck so much. I got swim class with my son at 9 a.m. It's going to be a terrible night. It is going to be a terrible night. And honestly, it is what it is. The Mets put me in this way. And I have myself to blame. I always have myself to blame. I'm like every other Mets fan out there. You know, and especially for me who covers them for a living, of course I want to see them do better than what they have done at this point. Of course I'm going to be the internal optimist, even when inside I'm telling myself this team is not going anywhere this year. You still want to be proven wrong. You want to be proven wrong. All season long we've been wanting to be proven wrong, yet time after time after time after time, week after week after week after week, month after month after month after month, we get the same shit show that you call a ball club that we're supposed to view as something different. Now the camera I'm not going to be mad at this time because I was looking away on the camera. This is more justified. I'm not going to throw it just yet. This one's on me. Hold on. Mike with the $10 donation states the following: the 2025 Mets are the 2024 Yankees. I disagree. The Mets are still more fundamentally sound than the Yankees from last year, but I will say their fundamentals have been absolutely horrendous that we have seen in all the second half. So maybe you're not as far off as I was initially insinuating there. Listen, they're in the NL, not the mediocre AL, hence why it makes sense why Mendoza has been like he is. He is Flushing's version of Aaron Boone. He is in the sense that he's going to be a puppet to a degree for David Stearns. Of course he is. If you guys don't think it's a collaborative effort behind the lineups every single game, the decision making, I too have a bridge to sell you. David Stearns picked and prodded Carlos Mendoza from the Yankees organization because he knew that he could be a guy to not only depend on, but a guy that's going to listen to him, that being a Mendy, and actually do whatever he wants him to do for the most part. This is not going to be a combative relationship like what we saw sour between Buck Showalter and Billy Epler, where Epler didn't want to give Vientos as many consistent reps at DH because he wanted Vogelback there, when Buck Showalter supposedly wanted Vientos to actually get more reps. I gave Buck so much hell in 2023 saying to myself, listen, why aren't you playing the kid? When in the reality, it's less on Buck and it's more on Epler, and this is the thing that we didn't know necessarily until we got to the offseason. So yes, there's absolutely collaborative effort here, and there's absolutely a lot of fault to be had, not only on Mendoza, not only on David Stearns, but also on the player personnel. Guys, look at this roster. Look at this team. They have themselves to blame. They have continued to roll over, and more times than not that we have seen, and this what has not just been the second half of the season, more often than not this season, the Mets have played around 90 effing games of 10 plus games below 500 baseball. Do you guys understand how bad that is? If you do, then you know exactly why we continue to be pissed off. But at the same time, are we really surprised? No, we're not. I don't think any Mets fan is genuinely surprised by their continued incompetence, because as long as you've watched this season, this is more of the same. But as you guys see right there, Brett Baty hurting that oblique today really pisses me off in more ways than one. I'm not mad at Baty. I'm just distraught on the reality that if the Mets do stay up around and still win the next 2 games and do secure postseason play, and mind you, in order for the Mets to do that, they need to make sure that they still get more wins than the Reds and don't tie with them. If the Reds win their series against the Brewers, we are royally, you know what, fucked for the most part, right? So there is so much in the line right now. But even having said that, everybody, what we do know is that this Mets team has constantly kept us in it. Even when we've had every rightful reason to be like, I'm tapping out, I'm done caring about them this season, they constantly have us clawing back in slowly but surely. I just can't get myself completely out of it. You guys have the luxury of at least watching at home for the most part, getting to show off that TV as soon as it becomes a 6-2 ball game. You turn it back on if you really want to lock back in if the boys start to play better. I can't. As someone who's not only a diehard fan but covers him for a living, I gotta watch this shit show start to finish and tell you every single thing about what went wrong about this team tonight. Seen a lot of comments on like time to clean house. Listen. I hear you. I understand. My counter to the clean house thing is, and this will be with the bridge selling. I'm selling a lot of bridges tonight. If you think David Stearns is not going to be the president of this team next year, I have a bridge to sell you. If you think that there's still a very strong likelihood that Carlos Mendoza returns next season, if you think that doesn't happen, I too have a bridge to sell you. No, it's not me necessarily going to bat for Mendoza, nor is it me trying to defend the continued incompetence by David Stearns this year. But this is the thing. Stearns was hired because Steve Cohen has wanted him since he first became Mets owner. Carlos Mendoza is in the second year as a first-time manager under the choice of being picked by David Stearns. The idea that the Mets are going to completely cut ties with all these guys as soon as the year ends just because they're having a terrible season is more than likely not going to happen. Do we need change? Absolutely. But do I think we're going to get as drastic change as maybe what you're longing for if you guys want the drastic turnaround? I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, so I will preface to everybody, prepare yourselves ahead of time. If you guys genuinely believe that the Mets are going to go ahead and clean house again, you are going to be more than sorely mistaken. Will we see changes? Will we see roster implementation? Will we see a difference in the roster? Absolutely. Will we see a difference in aspects of the coaching staff? Absolutely. But to suggest that Mendy and or Stearns are out of here, little to no chance that's happening. Mendy, it's possible. Mendy, that might become a greater sell with the way that he continues to roll over and die and shows complete lack of in-game feel that we saw yet again today. If he rolls over along with this Mets team tomorrow and the Mets basically are bounced out playoffs as soon as tomorrow the following day, then I think we have a greater discussion there. We will worry about it then, everybody. But I definitely want to hear from every single one of you guys a simple question to I want the answer to the following question. Spam in the live chat and spam it to all of our replay viewers. It's very simple. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your confidence level in the New York Mets making postseason play this year? Right now, the Milwaukee Brewers have 1 runner on with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th, and they're still down by 2. A home run would tie the ball game for Milwaukee right now, but I have to see it to believe it. As of now, I'm fully expecting the Reds to win that Game 1 matchup. I'm fully anticipating the Reds to officially leapfrog the Mets in the wild card standings because the Mets now just have a half-game lead right now. Should the Reds win, they'll be 82 and 78 apiece. The Reds have the tiebreaker, and then you know what's going to happen from there as we just relayed everybody. Let me know. It's spam in the chat right now. Like I said, guys, I want to see from each and every one of you. What do you guys have to say? I'm seeing the white flags being thrown in the chat. I'm seeing the towels being thrown in here. How are we doing? What is the 1 to 10 scale that we're seeing? We're seeing 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 6, 0, 0, 0, 0, negative 10, 0, 0, 0, 0. I can make a beat out of this. That's how bad it is. That's how unconfident you guys are in this Mets team. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't blame you. And the Brewers just hit into a double play, the useless schmucks that they are. But Milwaukee wants the Mets to not make postseason play. And can you blame them? Can you blame them? Look at what happened last year, right? They don't want the smoke if we matched up at any point. They don't want. So they're like, let's go ahead and let's give the Reds these 3 games without a problem. And let's have the Reds make postseason play and then worry about them then. That's what we're looking at right now. And yes, we absolutely need change. There is no doubt about it. And yeah, Project, I don't know what you were saying in the chat, but keep that shit to yourself. That goes without saying. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm actually going to double check here and just make sure that there's nothing too out of pocket pocket that's being said in here, because apparently you guys are acting a little more out of pocket than you otherwise should. Let me go ahead and double check here to make sure that's not anything bananas. Again, guys, if anyone says something that's truly egregious or like should not be happy in the chat, let me know and I'll make sure to take care of them. But you guys got to let me know in the chat, otherwise I won't be able to find them, because we got 700 concurrent viewers right now, and I know you guys are pissed off just the same way that I am. Rightfully so. We're all crashing out together. Oh my God, oh my goodness, oh my gracious. This Mets team just continues to be an absolute joke right now. Milton, you're just joking. You better be joking, Milton. You better be. That's all I'm going to say. I didn't see what you said, but just be better if you were talking something crazy. That's all I got to say. You got people in here that are going to vary when it comes to the sensitivity on various topics, and I want to make sure that everyone here is at least here for the commonality that we have to talk down on the New York Mets because they continue to take years off of our life. No, I'm not going to sit here and break down verbatim what happened in this ball game. It's as simple as the following summary, and I promise you're not going to miss a lick by the following words I say. Francisco Lindor leads off the ball game with a home run. Juan Soto likes a single to a double after one out there that we see. Pete Alonso drives him in with an RBI double. That's it. That's the entire ball game for this Mets offense. They waste countless opportunities with runners in scoring position early in this ball game. They ground into double plays. Sandy Alcantara had a stretch in this ball game of getting 12 to 13 consecutive ground ball outs in a row. He did not need to strike out this Mets team left, right, and center. All he had to do was absolutely pound the strike zone and have this team topping over baseballs left, right, and center. When you look at where everything imploded after Brandon Sproat was cooking, it all goes back to that fifth inning. As I mentioned, he's getting barreled early and often there that we see in the fifth inning. He gives up a triple to Henriquez that ties the ball game. Then the defensive blunders by Alonso's incompetence, Mauricio's incompetence, that eventually makes it going on to a 6-2 ball game because Gregory Soto's serving up batting practice just like he did plenty during his time as a Philly. So Gregory Soto, while I don't hate Gregory, today was another example as to why I will not lose any sleep at night if he is not in this bullpen next season. There is right now just 3 effing relievers in this bullpen that I need as a certainty back next season or close to. That is Edwin Sugar Diaz, that is Brooks Raley, who's under contract with Team Club Control, as well as Tyler Rogers. If your name is not one of those when it comes to this bullpen, I genuinely do not care if you were back here next season or not. That is how fickle this bullpen has been in a lot of ways. That is also when you look at the rotation, you see all the veterans that are under contract next season. Clay Holmes, David Pearson, Kodai Senga, Frankie Montas, even though he's a bum, will never pitch for this team again. The list goes on. Every single veteran that the Mets have under contract heading in next season, I could not care less if they return or not. If the Mets go out and trade every single one of those schmucks, I'm really not going to lose much sleep over it. I don't hate Clay Holmes. I wouldn't mind him returning. I don't hate David Pearson, even though that he has looked horrendous this entire second half. But when it comes to Kodai, who looks like he can't even provide any semblance of life for this Mets team down the stretch here, he's a guy that the Mets trade away. Good riddance. Best, again, doing your best job elsewhere. Okay, we'll deal with that then. When we talk about the other options of this rotation as well, Jonathan, Noah McLean, Brandon Sproat, Christian Scott, the Mets have a four-headed monster of a young pitching staff with a lot of upside that'll be towing the rubber for this team next season. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Carson Bench. I'm looking forward to Jet Williams. I am looking forward to the youth movement. Jacob Reimer, AJ Ewing down the road, you name it. Dylan Ross starting tomorrow, Ryan Lambert next season. I am ready for the youth movement because I am done with this shit show that you call a core group of the New York Mets. I am sick and tired of it. Beyond sick and tired of it. It's the same shit every single night. And yes, I'm out of focus again. I don't care. I really don't care right now. Casey says, fight aha. Wardy, the Mets pitching has averaged 7 runs per game on this road trip. We really talking playoffs? Playoffs? Can we just play a complete game? Can we just win one game? Yeah, my guy. It would be nice, Casey. The sad reality is that no, we're just not allowed to have nice things. Then that put salt in the wound. The Arizona Diamondbacks, who are still somehow, some way alive in the playoff race, even after trading away Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, are currently up 2-0 against the Padres in the third. Padres, wake the hell up. My God. I know that, and listen, we have ourselves to blame. There's no one but ourselves to blame, that being the Mets, for why we have to now rely on other teams just to lose ball games and for other teams to win ball games. I wholeheartedly understand. It sucks. You never want to be at that point, but that's where we are. I look like someone who just flush their goldfish down the drain after they just got it at the fair, getting all excited that this is going to be my pet for the next 10 years as a 7-year-old without realizing the great reality that a lot of those fish get ick, and within a week, they're going down the drain. That's what happens. My absolute day's ruined. I don't know what to do with myself. And I'm half joking as I say that, but I'm really not, because I'm way too tied in. I'm way too emotionally irrational. I'm way too toxic when it comes to my sports fandom. That's why, oh my God. Actually, oh my God. What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing, you schmuck? This is at least funny for you guys. It has to be. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Come on. What are we doing? Literally, this camera. Unbelievable. Actually, I'm almost impressed. And here I thought the Mets were incompetent today. Little did I know what was going to transpire post-game show today. Okay, my God, what a joke. KC, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. And guys, continue to spam it. Continue to tell me exactly how you feel. Let me know if you guys are an optimist at all. Because if you are, please let me know what you can do to help me feel better about myself, because I'm really going through it right now. And the reason why I'm going through it is the same reason why you're going through it. It's because we see this. Brandon Sproat allows 4 earned runs across 4.2 innings. Another day where he should have not had the final line that he had, but it happened because he's pulled on 58 pitches. And yes, you guessed it, this defense has no effing clue what they're doing. Pete Alonso looks just as good as quite literally Wayne Kirby at first base in the sense of how good they're going to have defensive range. If you know, you know. Gregory Soto looks like an absolute shit show of a lefty option this bullpen. Huascar Brosman looks like the best thing since sliced bread. Kevin Herget, who grew up a diehard David Wright fan. Love you, Kevin. Thank you so much for eating up that final inning when no one else could. On the hitting end, yeah, a whole lot to hate about this Mets offense today. They were out hit 10-6 by Miami. They had technically no errors today, but they should have been charged with errors. The fact that the Mets were not technically charged with any errors today is beyond me. I actually can't fathom it. I don't understand what the rationale goes behind what is an error and what isn't at times. How does Jose Siri not get costed for an error in that game against the Nationals a week ago? Not even. And mind you, he's been DFA'd since then in direct hand because of the fact that he has been horrendous both offensively and defensively. Add that with Pete Alonso's incompetence at first. Add that with Ronnie Mauricio looking like a deer in headlights at third base. And what do we have? A Mets offense that rolled over and died as soon as this ball game began. Lindor had the home run. Love that for Lindor. Love that he's having a 30-30 season. I also quite literally don't give a shit should the season continue the way that it has right now. The only positive with Lindor is that he has 3 home runs in his past 4 games. When everyone's rolled over and died lately, he has not been one of them, thankfully, down the stretch in the final week of the season. But as I mentioned earlier, and as I will say again, is it too little too late for someone like him? It feels like it is, not only for him, but for this Mets team. Lindor, 267 average, 809 OPS. Soto with a couple hits today and 2 stolen bags. Juan Soto is 2 stolen bags away from a 40-40 season, the first time in his career, and it's going to be completely wasted. 266 average, 927 OPS. BrandonYM, useless today, and I'm not going to give Nemo too much flack because he had some solid games against the Cubs, but not good today at all. 263 average, 763 OPS. Alonso had the nice little RBI double, and then nothing else after. He looked like a schmuck. 271 average, 865 OPS. Jeff McNeil today, over from Jeff. Why was he over? Because McHits had nothing to show. He was McGone. 246 with his 752 OPS. Baty only 0 for 1 because, again, that oblique injury that I'm still pissed off about. 254 average, 748 OPS. Ronnie 0 for 2 today. 228 average, 667 OPS. Vientos, 232 average, 697 OPS in his pinch hit. Alvarez 1 for 4 at DH, 259 average, 798 OPS. Did I mention the Mets stranded bases loaded in the 8th inning? No, I didn't mention. Now I did. Congratulations. I'm pissed off too. And Cedric Mullins 0 for 3. Yeah, because Cedric Mullins, who literally cannot hit a beach ball, could not hit anything by a right-hander this year. Let's go ahead and start his ass after Tyrone Taylor has clearly added a jolt into this Mets lineup and into their defense that we have seen over the past 2 days. But no, let's go ahead and not play Tyrone today because according to Carlos Mendoza, I did not want to start Tyrone Taylor for a 3rd straight game today because he just came back from injury and it might hurt him. Well, for fuck's sake, Mendy, I don't know. You only got 2 more games left this season. We're just going to let him sit out the entire series, buddy. I'm sorry, Mendy. You're being a hypocrite. You can't go into this and say we got to take every game like it's game 7 and then have that as your excuse as to why he's not in there. Alvarez, I understood yesterday, because if Alvarez isn't in the lineup, there's a justified reason for it, because he has been playing with basically 2 broken fingers. When it comes to Tyrone Taylor, unless he was the one yapping about not feeling his best, why was he not playing today? And I know I'm looking like an ass for really giving him flack about Tyrone Taylor out of all people, but by God, when Tyrone Taylor has actually been a positive and not in that negative like what we saw for 2 months this season, I'm gonna go ahead and say that we needed him in the effing lineup today. Like, what are you doing? Cedric Mullins has done nothing for 2 effing months since he has been in New York Met, and you're like, that's my kind of lineup that I want today. Oh, fuck off. Seriously, pardon my French, I'm sorry, but I'm crashing out. It's the end of the season. Like, what are we doing? Genuinely, what are we doing? Luis Stearns, 1 for 4. Whoop-de-doo. That's awesome. Fantastic. Awesome. Great. Cool. Nah. Mets offense today. What's their grade for me today? They get a 2 out of 10 for the 2 runs they scored. Pitching today, Brandon Sproat, not as bad as it was made out to be. Brandon's getting a 5.5 out of 10 today. Did not deserve that final line. Bullpen today. 2 earned runs, 3.1 innings. Yeah, you're going to be getting a 5 out of 10 today. I didn't love anything from you either. Not a whole lot to love from any aspect of this Mets loss today, if that hasn't been abundantly clear by now. And as I have been crashing out about Carlos Mendoza, as much as I have been, I will say it once more. Do I think it's a lock that Mendy's fired as soon as this season is over? No, I do not. And that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for some of you guys. I understand. And the one thing I will say about this is the following. If you think that it's in the best interest of an organization to have 4 managers in a 6-year span under Steve Cohen as new owner, I don't know why that would be the case. There's nothing that looks good organizationally at all about doing that. But I understand the rightful counter, which is, well, you know, Wardy, there's nothing looking good about this season, and Mendoza looks like he's got his head so far up his derriere that he has effing no clue how to make any proper in-game decision. You're not wrong. I can't fault you there. But at the same time, it's not Mendoza's fault that David Stearns utilized more pitchers than any other team in Major League Baseball history this year with 46 and counting. It is not, and it'll be 47 with Dylan Ross tomorrow, mind you. It is not Carlos Mendoza's fault when an offense that you paid millions upon millions for has been so incompetent, so Jekyll and Hyde throughout the course of the season. It is not Carlos Mendoza's fault that every man and their mother that's a veteran in this rotation, except for Peterson and Clay Holmes, went down with a key injury. Either a season-ending injury or an injury that's completely derailed their season, i.e. Kodai Senga, prime example. So, what I will say, has Mendy been terrible for a good stretch? Yes. But do I think it's a lock that he's gone? No. I'll have to see to believe it. If he is, okay, we'll break it down right away. I'll tell you guys about our top 10 managerial candidates, including Joe Schmo and this and that, and guys I quite literally don't give a shit about right now because I'm still pissed off. But folks, like anything else, like any other Mets season, if we don't go through trials and tribulations, if we don't do this thing that is called building character as fans, because we have to go through more heartache, we have to get early signs of PTSD, we have to go through muscle aches, my back hurts waking up, that's just from the yelling that I did yesterday, my throat's raspy. No, it wasn't because I wasn't smoking up a chimney, it's because I was screaming my effing head off for 2 hours in a row. Did the Reds win? Reds win? Of course fucking Reds win. Why would they win? Why wouldn't they win? Guma, fight Ahala. Cohen needs to make this team take the Major League Cleveland Indians, announcer and Guardians, playing with propellers instead of Cohen Jets. They are coddling these guys too much. Listen, give them the A's treatment for all I give a rat's ass right now. Give them the A's treatment. If you got to go ahead and pull the Moneyball scene, even though that was exaggerated, and make them start to pay just to get their little mini Gatorades out of the thing, whatever you got to do is fine by me. But it comes down to one singular factor as to why the Mets mainly lost this game today. It comes down to the offense. An offense that was 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. An offense that has Francisco Lindor, and Rod, and did everything in his power to try to get the boys going today. They did nothing about it. The Mets have just 2 games left this season and have literally no control of their destiny. They're not in control of their destiny. We have to rely on others to lose. Oh, yeah, did I tell you guys who's pitching tomorrow for the Mets? Did I tell you guys? Did I remind you guys who's pitching for this Mets team tomorrow? Let me go ahead and tell you guys who's pitching for the Mets tomorrow in this day game. Clay Holmes. You know what Clay Holmes was doing the last 2 outings? Utilized as a fucking reliever. And you want to know why he was utilized as an effing reliever? Because Carlos Mendoza really thought it was a great idea to start Sean Manaea again. Do I have more faith in Clay Holmes than most right now? Yes. Is that bar so effing low that's at the bottom of the ocean? Yes. Both those things can be true. What, are we going to get 4.2 innings of solid baseball from Clay Holmes tomorrow? Are we going to get 5 innings of Clay Holmes tomorrow? We're probably not going to get 6. I'm going to go on a limb and say we're not going to get 6 barring changes. What is it going to be? So you got Clay Holmes towing the rubber tomorrow against Yuri Perez, who, while the Mets kicked the shit out of Yuri Perez last time they faced him, what's also true is that Yuri Perez is likely going to have a better outing at home in Miami versus what he did at Citi Field when the Mets have one of the best home records in baseball. I need a minute because my head's throbbing. Oh my God. Baty's done for the year as an official. Did they announce it? Is it going nowhere if they make playoffs? Here's the thing, Mark. While you're probably not wrong, the idea that the Mets, who have dragged their feet all second half, are going to go out and somehow beat the reigning World Series champion Dodgers in LA in a wild card series, that's far-fetched. I wholeheartedly agree. But here's the thing with postseason play, and I just can't say this enough. It's postseason play. Anything can happen in postseason play. So the Mets can be literally dog water all year long, and all it takes is one thing of excitement to happen come postseason play, and they can rally around that. Reds' magic number is 2. Yes, it is. The Mets literally need the Reds to lose that series against the Brewers. If the Reds and the Mets win the same amount of games, the Mets are not making playoffs. And it's probably going to come down to that Sunday game. And that Sunday game, who do the Mets have slotted for Sunday, you might wonder? Who will start the Sunday matinee game against Edward Cabrera? It's to be determined because right now it's a bullpen game. It might be Sean Manaea for all we know. It literally might be Sean Manaea. Maybe it's going to be Brandon Waddell. Who effing knows? It's going to be a terrible offseason for Wardy. It's going to be terrible in the sense I'm not going to look forward to covering it. That's where it's going to be terrible. But it will not be terrible in the sense of the grind. I'm a dog. I'm not trying to boast or anything, but I'm a pardon my French. I'm an effing dog. When it comes to making content, when it comes to grinding content, when it comes to giving you guys consistent Mets content all year round, look no further. So I'm not all concerned about my abilities and my expectation when it comes to the content that we'll be pumping out, but I'm not looking forward to it at all. And I'm going to be blunt about that because this season has been terrible. On one hand, you say to yourself, I look forward to having a breather. But when you cover a team for a living in which they may now have a month span of fans not giving a rat's ass because teams will be in playoffs, teams will be pushing for World Series, and the Mets will be chilling out in Cancun, yeah, that's a hard sell to fans that want to chime in to watch early free agent and trade target videos, that want to hear interviews from current players, former players, people, personnel, etc. No one's going to give a shit. And you want to know why they're not going to give a shit? Because you guys are all mentally exhausted the way that I am as well. There's no doubt about it. JP, $2 holla. Yuri Perez is going to pitch a one-hitter tomorrow. Hey, at least the Mets get a hit. D-Mac, $5 holla. Thank you so much. He says, did Stearns always look at this year as a transition year of the youth movement? Did the pitching just implode and this could not be foreseen? Listen, I don't think anyone saw the pitching imploding to this degree. Seriously. Even David Stearns, obviously. If he did, I like to think that he would have been a little bit more progressive instead of being as conservative as he was all first half when it came to not doing anything for this rotation. Listen, was Kodai Senga a risk heading into the season? Absolutely. Was Sean Manaea a risk because of his injuries? Absolutely. Was Frankie Montas always a risk from the time you initially signed him? Absolutely. All those things held true. Was Clay Holmes a risk reliever turned starter? Absolutely. And here's the problem. The Mets, I just listed 4 to 5 risks right there. Griffin Canning had a career 5-year rate entering this season, and he was in the rotation right away. So when we look at how many risks did David Stearns take? A lot. And that's the problem. He took far too many risks for a rotation that was just a couple significant injuries away from being in complete shambles, because you then have to rely on your youngsters that, as we know, David Stearns was not going to bother to call them up until earliest post-trade deadline. And that's exactly what happened. D-Mac, thank you so much for the donation, my guy. I appreciate you. KC says with a $5 hollow the following, just to prepare fans, Mets play at 4, Reds at 7. So either way, you will watch the Reds either hoping they lose or retake the wildcard lead, or so they don't clutch. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a shit show. So I'm either going to be live directly after the ball game tomorrow, or I'm going to be live once the Reds game is done tomorrow. And it honestly might not be until the Reds game is done tomorrow, if I'm being completely honest with you, because what's the good in me coming on here and talking about this big victory for the Mets if the Reds go out and potentially win again? You know what I mean? So I think tomorrow might be one of the only games this entire season that we don't do our post-game show until a couple hours after the game had concluded, because of what you exactly just relayed there, KC. The fact that we got a 4 o'clock Mets game and a 7 o'clock Reds game. Thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate that. Hyper Mario, Baty update. I'm waiting for one, Mario. Thank you so much for the donation. Got nothing to say, honestly, just supporting Nick. I love you, Nick. Thank you so much, Nick. Nick, you just made my night, Nick. Seriously. This is why I love you guys so much. Listen, we might be going through hell and back, but we're going through hell and back together. Nick is literally like, I got nothing to say. I just want to give you money to be a supporter. Thank you so much for that. I'm never asking for that. I'd like to make that clear, but I really do appreciate that. Thank you kindly, Nick. The Mets may have sucked. They may have not shown up today, but you, my friend, most certainly showed up. And each and every one of you, the thousands of you that have watched live on a replay, as this is going to push anywhere from, I'm sure, 8 to 10 plus thousand views from now to the replay viewers. To every single one of you, thank you guys so much for the endless support this season. I cannot relay that enough. This has been such a grueling year as a Mets fan to cover, let alone just watch on a daily basis. Thank you guys so much for everything. Seriously, thank you. The Mets will know more tomorrow, but they're fearing that it's a season ender. Well, no shit. You got 2 games left this season. Any injury is a season ender, but color me shocked. It looks like Baty's cooked, huh? Mets online, thank you for the $5 holler. If Davinsky throws 2, Waddell throws 2, Warren throws 2, then we go really Rogers Diaz. I think we win Sunday, but it probably won't matter. Mets online, let's get your ass in the managerial spot, because my God, you actually look like you know what you're doing here. 10 steps ahead of one Carlos Mendoza and David Stearns right now. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and double check right here, right now, everybody, what Anthony Tacoma may or may not have to say in regards to the status of one Brett Baty. Let's go ahead and find out together. A grueling year indeed. Exactly, AA. Terrible year. Terrible year. You know, what's worse about this, too, is, like, we've gained a lot of following this season on the platform, which I'm very grateful for. I'm not really sure how, because the Mets have been so bad for so long, but I feel bad for my newer Mets followers here that have started following me this season, because you guys don't know what it's like. I've been so much more positive in the past. I've been so much more happy-go-lucky, la-la-la-la-la, looking like SpongeBob, like a little kid down the street here, not having a care or a stress in the world while everything's collapsing around them. La-la-la-la-la-la-la, because of the fact that I've had a lot of excitement, a lot of internal optimism, and a lot of belief in Steve Cohen. But all these things can be true at the same time. Steve Cohen is not at fault for a lack of effort. However, we have seen Steve swing and miss now on plenty moves since becoming Mets owner. And it's not on him nearly as much as it is on the guys that he hires and ultimately the decisions that they make as well. But we have seen live in real time the pros and the cons that happen with having a fan-based owner. There are so many pros that come along with it, but the pros also bring the cons, because the pros are you bring a guy who's a diehard fan that actually wants to do everything in his power to help make this team great. He has continued to do that every single year with spending the money, trying to allocate it in the best areas. It is never for a lack of effort. But between the continued front office changes, because he could not hire David Stearns as he first became owner, that's why he went with Jared Porter. Then after Porter traded for Lindor, one of the most impactful trades in Mets franchise history, he found out that he's a pervert, or at least we found out. He already knew that. He was just keeping it under the rug. No longer was the case. Zach Scott, we see Zach Scott, no analytics, not know how to GM, and then he finds himself there parked on the side outside of Steve Cohen's estate there with a little bit of intoxication going on there. But it was cleared up after the fact that he was okay and he wasn't drunk driving, so it was just an unfortunate circumstance that allowed him being fired. Either way, he wasn't going to be here long term. Billy Epler, you bring in Billy Big Bucks, but he was only going to be a short-term option because he was always waiting for David Stearns to be made available. available. All these years of waiting for Stearns, you could rightfully counter and say it has hurt this team in more ways than one, because now we have a David Stearns that doesn't operate like the previous regimes and is trying to have his own hands on this own team that he's now building, which is why as we get into next season, I assure you, we are going to see a lot more, and I really mean a lot more of a youth movement with this club. You will see Jet Williams, you will see Carson Benz, you may see Jacob Reimer, you may see AJ Ewing, you're going to see Christian Scott returning from injury, you're going to see a full season likely of Jonathan, Noel McLean, Brandon Sproat. You may see one of Zach Thornton, Will Watson, Jonathan Santucci, if not more, Jack Weniger. The list goes on and on. RJ Gordon of exciting pitching prospects. We look at Ryan Lambert, Dylan Ross. Ross will be making his debut tomorrow more than likely. Lambert will be here next season. There's a lot of damn good things to be excited about when we look at the youth movement next season, but I really can't care about that too much right now when you have this big of a payroll, this much of a core group, this amount of guys locked down more than one single season, and the Mets are playing this bad baseball. Thor, have a great night, my guy. Thank you so much for chiming in. I appreciate it. Let's see. Philly with Fido Hall says, I need the Mets to be good for the rivalry with the Phillies. Bottom line, you have no bullpen, no rotation, a lineup that's too streaky. Love you, Wardy. You're not wrong. This is a Philly fan going out of their way to donate hard-earned dollars to a Mets fan to tell us what's been going wrong when he isn't wrong. We don't have a bullpen in the sake that there hasn't been consistency. There's no rotation. He's not at all wrong. The rotation is in complete shambles, and the lineup is too streaky. There have not been truer words said by an honest Phillies fan. Thank you for that donation. I wish I could say best of luck in postseason, but I really can't because you're a Phillies fan. I wish nothing but the worst for you. Not for you, but for your team. And I mean that with all due love and respect, because like you, my friend, I fall in the same category. I love rivalries. Rivalries birthed my entire sports fandom to begin with. Without rivalries, I really do not think I would be nearly as passionate of a baseball fan or a sports fan in general. I love to hate. As toxic as that sounds, look at me. How am I not toxic as a Mets fan? I'm just as toxic as the next Joe Schmo in their mid-20s who's crashing out after another regular season loss. It's typical here. We're used to this, Mets fans. This is normal. But as I say that, what also is true is that I need the Phillies to be good so that way those games matter every time we play them. I want the Phillies and the Braves to be good because I want us to beat them at their best, like every true diehard Mets fan wants in key rivalries. The problem here, and this goes back to why he donated, is that the Mets have too many things going wrong this year. And this is exactly why a Mets team that was once the daddy of the Philadelphia Phillies now looks like a Mets team that will be damn lucky to secure postseason play. The Last Chicken, thank you for the donation. They say, let's say a guy hits 43 home runs in a single game in April, but every at-bat is a ground ball for the rest of the season. Is that a good player? Interesting. No, I don't think it is. Because you can have an anomaly of a baseball game and still have a terrible season and not be a good player. We have seen many players in Major League Baseball have one-off games and then do nothing else of it, or have a great week and do nothing else of it. But if you're getting on with this and trying to connect this with Juan Soto at all, you know, I don't know what you're thinking here, because that isn't how Soto's season has went. I'm assuming that's what you mean, considering Soto has around that number of home runs. So that's why I'm assuming that is the case here. Regardless, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. But the simple answer is no. If you only perform in one game in the entire season and ground out every other effing at-bat out of the entire year, your ass will be cut 2 months in the season. It does not matter that you hit 40 home runs in one single game. Who gives a shit? It's one effing game. You're going to forget about that game a week from that point should your team continue to lose. Hey, Rory, this is just my opinion, but this center field problem would have not happened at all if we kept PCA. Here's the thing. Here's my counter to that. What makes you think the Mets would have properly developed PCA? Ignore me going out of focus again. Just stay on topic with what I just said. What makes you think the Mets would have properly developed PCA? Genuinely. What makes you think that PCA wouldn't have completely flopped in the organization? Because we don't know. How the Cubs have utilized PCA, how they went about his player development has clearly been different than how the Mets would have. Would he have still blossomed with us? Maybe, for sure. Do I agree in the sense that even at his worst, would I take PCA as our starting center fielder right now? Absolutely. No doubt about it. That's where we have Zach Scott to blame going back to the 2021 trade deadline. But I'm not here to talk about PCA and the center field configuration, because that ship has sailed, one. And two, the reason why the Mets have been incompetent in center is because they traded for Jose Siri as your Harrison Bader replacement after Bader decided not to hit a effing baseball the final month of the season heading into postseason last year, which is why Tyrone bested him in that role, to then see Siri break his leg a couple weeks in the season and then do absolutely nothing when he returned for the most part. And then Tyrone Taylor looked horrendous, getting continued extensive playing time in center field. Cedric Mullins looks like he's scared of his own effing shadow. Hold on, everybody. Project with a $5 holla. Been a fan since 85. I honestly believe now that this team has bad karma. Hex, curse, whatever you wish to call it. Change the entire team's brand. Let's just change the name. Let's just change the location. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just bulldoze down Citi Field and make an entire new organization. Who's with me? Is that the only way to exercise these demons? Is that the only way to get the devil magic flipped around from all the crazy shit that people did back in 86 for this team to win last time? How many souls were sold in 1986 for this Mets team to win a championship? Because what we have seen has been constant despair, frustration, anger, and disappointment since that point. Who did it? Siri sucks on iPhone too. She does. I've had her disabled for years. I can't stand Siri. I hate the idea of saying something similar to that word and my phone being like, hello? Like, I know you're already listening to me on everything that I do, Apple. I know that you're watching everything that I do to all the hackers behind my webcam right now. I know that all my private information is not private because we live in a society where everything is far from private. But even having said that, I don't want to be reminded of it constantly by my phone talking to me. Which is why, to some of you out there that not only rely on Siri, but love your little Amazon Echoes and that stuff you have in your house, you're crazy. I love you, but with all due respect, I think you're wild. I can't do it. That's too much convenience for me. I think at that point, I probably would just lounge on my couch all day long and do absolutely nothing. I'd be like, hey, do this for me, do this for me, do this and that. Before you know it, we're going to look like those schmucks, those fat little you-know-whats that we saw back in WALL-E. If you know the movie WALL-E, where everyone was at least 350 to 400 pounds in a floating chair with everything just marketed in front of them, all fast food garbage, we're going to get there. Look at the tangent. Look at Wardy conspiracy we're getting at 10:48 p.m. Eastern because this Mets team sucks that effing bad. Guma says, what you just said, Wardy, is exactly why I have no faith in next year in developing all these position players. Maybe starting pitching okay, I'll give them that, but position players, nope. And listen, the position player lack of development has one indirect hand with the constant flow of things changing this Mets front office personnel. Both those things can be true, absolutely. And that's where things need to continue to get better in that regard. Cameron with the donation. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Cameron says, wake me up on March 26, 2026. The next time this team will play a meaningful game. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I'll make sure to wake you up. I'll poke you. Mets stopped using the good stuff after 1986. Correct. The good stuff started with a capital C. I'm still waiting on anything Brett Baty. Hold on. I'm double checking for you guys. Oh, shut up, Mendy. Was asked if he considered leaving Brandon Sproat later in the ball game. He says, and I quote, I wasn't going to let him and just continue to take it. Can we stop acting like this is a toddler on the mound? This is a guy making his 4th or 5th career start. He's looked honestly good in every single effing start until when he starts to get barreled hard, and then you pull him right away. You know what? You know what I genuinely think? I think it's almost worse on a young pitcher to pull them as soon as they face a semblance of adversity in a ball game against the Miami effing Marlins, more than I think it is bad to hang him out there another batter or two to see what happens. I don't think it's hanging him out to dry when you know your bullpen is taxed. I don't think it's hanging him out to dry when not one single effing starter in this rotation can give us length, excluding McClain. There's just way too much flip-flopping on the hypocrisy with Mendy. Like, I just don't understand. And Mendy's not at fault for everything. I would like to make that clear. He most certainly is not. But this is why I get pissed off. Because it's the same kind of thing every single time. It's like, oh, you know, remember Mendoza all first half, leaving his starters too long? Oh, I just want him to go a little bit longer there. I get it. He's trying to play this like game 7, but you really mean to tell me that we're playing this like game 7, so your next feasible option was a very susceptible Gregory Soto? You didn't say to yourself, after the defensive blunders had begun, maybe we should stop having Soto pitch? I look like a dumbass because I'm trying to pull my Mendy impression right now, if you guys could tell. Mendy, when asked if he's happy with the Mets' focus level right now, what kind of question's that? That's another thing. This is not a slight to anyone personal. I'd like to make that clear. I love you, Will Salmon, with all me. Tim Britton, fantastic job. Tacomo, you've been a veteran in the game. I don't have an LOL, other than the fact that I just don't read you too much personally. This goes for the collective Mets beat. You guys haven't pushed Mendy's buttons one single time this season. What's the gain there? Is the goal to be on the goody two-shoe side as a reporter so that way you make sure you get constant information? Because the counter is, who gives a shit about that information if it's the same nonsense every single day? Why has there been no pushback for a New York media market that prides itself on having great conversation, divisive conversation, combative conversation with sports? Why are we not seeing that in a year for a Mets team that was filled with expectation and did not even meet anything close to it? Why is it that not one single not one single beat writer this year went out of their way to give ample pushback? Why is that? I pondered this for a while. I thought about it for a while. I'm really genuinely wondering why we are in that spot. Constant softball after softball after softball. Are they concerned that they're going to lose their jobs if they don't give greater pushback? Like, I genuinely want to know. It feels like that's the case. But does that mean that we have to sell out just to be in that role? Like, I don't understand. I would understand it more if all these reporters were under the Mets umbrella, if they were all officially under the Mets wing, because, of course, if you were hired by the New York Mets, newsflash, you're not allowed to talk shit on the team. That's why you will literally never hear their own podcast talk much down on the team other than saying, oh, that was a rough stretch of baseball games. Oh, that wasn't good. They can be their true selves because they're literally working for the organization. That's normal. That tends to happen. It's not a great sales organization to promote a show then that's going to be overly critical on said manager, front office, and everything in between. I get that. But the fact that these guys are not even hired by the team itself, come from separate organizations, and yet all year long, it has been constant softball questions. I just don't understand it. This has been a year that's warranted more questions and more debate and more pushback on a manager than anything else. We see Aaron Boone get some really straightforward questions what feels like every single week by Yankees media, including John Boy Media, as they have their weekly segment that they do with Boone. They go in on him. Why? Because they're actual fans and know exactly the kind of questions to ask. Is that what's needed? Do we need more fans in that room? I don't want to go on the beat right now, but do I have to? Like, what's next? It's not, like, everything about this year just pisses me off. And I would like to make clear, what I had just relayed is not at all a personal slight on anyone in the Mets beat. There are a lot of people that I genuinely love and enjoy their writings, sincerely. I'm just frustrated as a fan that in a year where so much turmoil has happened and so much has went wrong that we have not seen any pushback at all. Like, are you afraid that you're going to get smacked on the hand by the ruler as if this is a none or something? Like, what is happening? How much will this offseason be affected by the CBA uncertainty? A lot. And that's a great question, Cameron. A lot. Knowing that we're going to face a lockout after the 2026 season makes this offseason vital for a lot of players trying to get long-term contracts still. There's a lot at stake this offseason for players, most certainly. Can't vouch concessions, can't show non-Mets support. Ding, 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 ding. Of course they can. How could they? That's not something that I'm blaming the Mets for. That's common practice. If you're the New York Mets, it is by no means in your best interest to have any sector of your organization peddle something that isn't positive about the organization. If you start to critique, if you start to question, if you start to head scratch, your ass will be out of there right away. Because, again, they're trying to sell you as an entertainment business. Because sports is entertainment. That's all it is. That's what it comes down to. And it comes down to money more than anything else. That's all they care about. Yes, they'll say that, oh, we're diehard fans, we're this and that. That's true. But it still comes down to the dollars. Everything comes down to the dollars. And you lose money, usually, when you have people in your own sector critiquing or questioning your decision-making, among other things. But my counter is, I think we could all agree, if, say, for example, and they'll probably do this down the line, the Mets had a show, or the Mets had some type of presentation where it was genuine reaction, good, bad, indifferent, without the profanity that I spew sometimes like tonight, I promise you there would be more fans intrigued and engaged than ever before. Why? Because they're actually relatable. And we're not just here to focus on, oh, look at this interview that we had with our AA prospect today that we're not going to see for 4 years, right? You know, just, again, common sense, but not so common for those around the game. But my head's throbbing. This Mets team has done enough damage on me tonight. They've done enough damage on me this season. They're going to probably do a lot more damage on me the next 24 to 48 hours. So, in the meantime, I'm going to go record a video for Bleacher Report that I'm going to crash out a little bit in, but try not to be as bad as this one. I may make a video for tomorrow, but I don't know yet, if I'm being honest. I might have a video come out later in the day tomorrow, later than 10 a.m. like what we dropped today. Because it's going to be more of the same. Like, there isn't a whole lot to really amplify. The only thing to say is on Brett Baty. We just need to find out on Brett Baty. That's the only thing we need to know about. Do we have any new news on Brett Baty today? Play the OMG video? We're just going crazy. I'm just double checking Brett Baty, and then we'll get out of here, everybody. My God. Joggers fan here. Sorry, Wardy. It's okay, Nomo. It's okay. I appreciate that. I know we got some awesome followers in here that are more than just Mets fans. So thank you to everybody. I really do appreciate. I appreciate the condolences on what has been a grueling funeral for what's been a 90-game sample size we call the New York Mets. Meek fell on X earlier, if you know, you know. He said, inject Brett Baty with the most illegal drugs we have in stock. We cannot lose him. Yeah, seriously. Give him like 10 cortisone shots. Do whatever you need to do to make that oblique not have pain for the next 2 weeks. Do whatever you got to do. You're not wrong. All right, this is what Baty said. Hold on. We have a Baty clip. That was dropped almost an hour ago. Thanks for reminding me, guys. Come on. Adios, mio. Come on, guys.
Two games left in the regular season. I mean, what's your gut in terms of just what you'll be able to be a part of that?
I think we're going to see how it feels tomorrow. I mean, I obviously want to play. And like you said, there's only 2 days left. So if there's any possibility of me playing, I'm going to play. So
how does it feel right now?
Feels good right now.
Brett just said it feels good right now. I'd say the same exact thing if I want to be in there. Baty's trying to be a warrior. Brett Baty's trying to do everything in his power to impact this team for the better. The problem, though, is that if it's really an oblique injury, he's cooked. He's literally cooked. And that's not a fault on him at all. It's just terrible timing. Literally terrible timing. Yeah, he probably is lying. And that's okay, though. Like, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. He wants to go out there and be like Alvarez and play as many games as he can for this team. He knows how important he is to this team right now. Brett Baty knows what we all know. And Brett Baty's not our starting third baseman. We're kind of, the FUCKED'd again. Mark Vientos can't defend. Ronnie Mauricio doesn't know where he is. Luis Angel Acuna, while he did not look bad in a small sample size of third base, Mendy ain't going to put him there barring changes. Just such a shame that this is how Baty's season is going to end. Not that's a big sample size of what you're missing out, but a shame in the sense of how good Baty has looked in the second half and how important he was with that 3-run home run that we saw in this past series against the Cubs. Got to grow up 3 years. What are you yapping about? When will it ever end? I don't know. Unfortunately, I think I'm just getting my career started in that regard. When will it ever end as a Mets fan? I'm telling you, whiskey sour. I had a whiskey on the rocks earlier today. Was it Angel's Envy or was it it was either Angel's Envy or it might have been Blandon's. It was one of the two. Because I gifted my dad Blandon's like a couple years ago. And every now and then we just have a nice little glass when we're chilling on the deck. Nice weather day out in Pennsylvania. I wish I enjoyed my evening today just chilling on my deck and not worrying about this game today. I really did. I really wish I did. Gotta be honest with you. But yeah. Yeah, you're right though. You're right. There's nothing that I want more than a whiskey right now to give me a nice little throbbing headache for my morning. For those that don't know, I'm a dad. My son, Shay, we have swim class tomorrow morning. So, as you can tell, I'm ecstatic about it. Not that it's an issue to do it with him. I love doing it with him. He's literally 10 times the swimmer that I was at his age when he's just over 1, mind you. But the 9 a.m. swim classes after a night like this, dude, oh my God. It makes you feel, it literally feels like you're hungover because I'm going to have a throbbing headache tomorrow morning. I had one today from crashing out. Not even crashing out last night. Just I didn't go to bed till 5 a.m. because I was busy with kiddo and everything. Just, this is where I'm getting beat up right now. You'll be a dad in 6 months. Congratulations, Christopher. It's a very exciting time. It's definitely going to be a big life change for sure. But I wish you and your partner the absolute best. It's going to be fantastic, I'm sure. Let's get mesmerized. All I can do is laugh because I'm just thinking of the old music video and shit. We're so corny. I have an idea, Wardy. Make a positive video mapping out how we are going to win this playoff spot. Lounzinger, I love you, but I'm not doing that. Not doing that. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. This is how I am. This is how I genuinely feel. I'm not going to go tomorrow and be like, all right, guys, new day, new time to go out and win a baseball game. I mean, I kind of will be like that to begin my day because I have to fool myself. Like any other rational fan that's irrational, really. You have to fool yourself when it comes to this stuff. Mets, bro, I've been broken. I've been battered and broken. That's why, if you guys have seen the Wardy content from the first couple years of me covering the Mets to the past, I shouldn't even say last year, because last year first half Wardy was a sore sight. You were not loving what you were seeing from me. I was down bad, down horrendous. But once the Mets started to get their roll going in June last season, it really started towards the end of May. Once they moved, and honestly, camera, F off. I don't care. When we saw Lindor get moved to leadoff last year, everything changed. Reds won, by the way, Isaac. Oh, I didn't know, Isaac. Thanks for thanks for reminding me, Isaac. All right. That's enough. This is only going to get worse. This is only going to work. I'm going to get down bad. I'm going to start drinking on the live stream. I'm going to be telling you guys about, the good days, about how one peaks in high school. Like I'm going to get down all bad, even when it doesn't even make sense. I'm just going to really lean in onto the depression tonight is what I'm going to do at this rate. So I got to get out of here. JP, thank you for the donation. Wardy, do you think Vientos... Let's see. He says, Wardy, do you think Vientos, Mauricio McNeil will be traded this offseason? I guarantee at least one of those three will be traded, possibly two or more. And one of my thoughts about signing Trent Grisham, my thoughts are if the Mets effed around and signed Trent Grisham, every Yankees fan would be crying just as bad as Juan Soto. That's my initial reaction. A part of me wants to sign Trent Grisham and Cody Bellinger, even if they don't have a fit on the team, just because I know it'll make Yankees fans crash out. And yes, that's the kind of thing I'm looking forward to at this rate, because I know I'm probably not going to look forward to a good playoff run. We're down bad. 2021 Bauer free agency was Wardy's first taste of agony on this channel. Oh yeah, it really was. Oh my God, that really was. Because we were riding so high that offseason. And I hit like a ton of bricks. And I genuinely cannot thank Trevor May enough for not coming to the New York Mets. Not Trevor May. Love you, Trevor May. Love you, Trev Dog. Trevor Bauer. I cannot thank Bauer enough for choosing the LA Dodgers over the Mets. What a godsend that was. That was the only time that the baseball guys were looking over the Mets and said, no, not today, friend. Not today. Stearns and Mendy need to be fired immediately. Stearns isn't going anywhere, and Mendy's a coin flip if it happens. I love you guys. This has been ridiculous. This is when we get down to the dumps pad. This is when we really get unhinged, as my guy Pat would say. So I'm out of here now. Have a good rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you guys are watching this. Try to get some sleep. Try to enjoy your day. And buckle up, because the Mets don't make playoffs. The good news, you just got 48 more hours of agony to go through. If they do make playoffs, buckle up, because you're going to be shaking in your boots all the way up until they clinch it. Good night, everybody. And as always, no matter what, let's go Mets.